Week 12 is in the books now, so it's time to hit those waiver wires to find players that can add value to the back end of your rosters. And first and foremost, I want to highlight a couple of players that are already highly rostered, but not 100% rostered that I think need to be. And that includes a very short list of Sean Tucker, running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Khalil Herbert, running back for the Cincinnati Bengals, Ty Chandler, running back for the Minnesota Vikings, and Luke Schoonmaker, tight end for the Dallas Cowboys. Again, all of these guys are rostered in well over 90% of Dynasty leagues out there, but not exactly 100%. So double check your waiver wires and immediately add these guys if they are available. All right, now the one injury at quarterback this week was to Gardner Minshew. So the next man up for the Vegas Raiders would be Desmond Ridder. And honestly, there really isn't much to talk about here. We know who Ridder is. We know this Raiders offense really isn't all that great outside of Brock Bowers, and I hope you don't find yourself in a situation where you actually have to start Desmond Ridder if you are competing. If you do, then pick up Ridder as a desperation start in your QB2 Superflex spot. If not, then I would still add Ridder and then try to immediately flip him to a team who does need a quarterback for literally any fourth round pick, 25, 26, 27, whatever you can get it for Desmond Ridder. Now, the next quarterback ad this week is not really based on injuries, but if you want a more preemptive ad in Superflex leagues, check your waiver wires for Drew Lock, the now backup quarterback for the New York Giants. I think we all know that Tommy DeVito is bad, and this week's performance basically confirmed it. If you can't throw for more than 200 yards with 2 weeks to prepare, throwing to Malik Neighbors against the horrendous Buccaneers pass defense, you are not an NFL caliber quarterback. He also did have an injury mid-game that only caused him to miss one snap, so re-aggravation could also be possible, and Drew Lock could come in based on injury. Regardless, Drew Lock could get an opportunity at some point to start this year, so why not add him as a desperation gunslinger QB2 in your Superflex spot. Now, moving on to running back, a quick reiteration from last week with an added boost in confidence for Amir Abdullah as the fill-in starting running back for the Vegas Raiders. It is possible that one of Alexander Mattison or Zamir White are back next week, but if they are not, Abdullah performed well as the RB1 with 17.5 PPR points, totaling 65 yards and a touchdown on 13 touches. He led the team in rush attempts, he caught 5 passes and a receiving touchdown against a pretty tough Denver Broncos defense. If he's still available on waivers, he is definitely worth the ad for the chance that Mattison and White continue to miss games together, and with one more big bye week coming up in week 14, that Amir Abdullah could spot start you once more for the next week or two. But now probably the biggest waiver wire ad for Dynasty this week is Jeremy McNichols of the Washington Commanders, because both Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler went down this week with injuries. An ankle injury for Brian Robinson and a concussion for Austin Eckler. Now, usually with concussions, it is a low probability that a player is active the following week, so Eckler is most likely out this upcoming week. And then if Brian Robinson is also out, McNichols is the lone RB1 this week in a good Washington offense against the Tennessee Titans. Actually, the last time that Jeremy McNichols saw an increased role in this offense was back in week 4 when Eckler was out with a concussion, but still splitting time with Brian Robinson, and McNichols totaled 9 touches for 74 yards and 2 touchdowns, again, in a part-time role, splitting touches with Brian Robinson. It is entirely possible that Robinson misses an extended period of time with this ankle injury, and if Eckler has complications with his now second concussion in 2 months this year, that McNichols could be the RB1 for multiple weeks even after their week 14 bye. We've already seen how important handcuffs can be off the waiver wires this year. It was Jordan Mason starting the year off hot off waivers, then Kareem Hunt was the big mid-season guy, and now maybe it's Jeremy McNichols to end the season. Who knows? But either way, he is a must-add off waivers and a potential start for the next week or so. Now, another handcuff running back to add this week is Lions running back Craig Reynolds due to the shoulder injury to David Montgomery. I'm sure if Monty were to miss any games that really just means that Jahmyr Gibbs is probably going to get more work, but Reynolds is now at least the next man up in case Jahmyr Gibbs were to get hurt, and also has the potential upside that he takes the Montgomery role as the grinder and goal line back that he could offer fantasy upside even with a healthy Jahmyr Gibbs. He is definitely not as much of a priority as McNichols or Amir Abdullah off of waivers, but he is still worth a spot if you have the room. Now, at wide receiver, the biggest surprise on the week was the breakout performance from Panthers wide receiver David Moore, who effectively replaced Jalen Coker on the week with 6 receptions for 81 yards and a touchdown on a team-high 10 targets. Now, it is entirely possible that Moore is completely irrelevant moving forward, especially if Jalen Coker returns, but remember, Coker got hurt on Thursday in practice and also missed practice on Friday, so it's possible that Coker does not return this week, putting Moore back in this role again against a very bad Buccaneers pass defense. I don't know what kind of situation you have to be in to actually throw David Moore in your lineup as a contender on the brink of the fantasy playoffs, but if Coker is out again, he's really not the worst player to pick up off of waivers and immediately throw into your starting lineup. And once again, I will toss out 3 more wide receiver names that I have brought up basically each of the past 2 weeks. Devon Vele, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. Now, the Saints were on a bye this week, so MVS didn't play, but 2 weeks in a row with a long touchdown and Chris Olave still out is a recipe for a sneaky start off the bye. Devon Vele continues his hot streak of the past few weeks with another double-digit PPR performance against the Vegas Raiders, hauling in 6 passes for 80 yards on 9 targets. Bo Nix continues to look great. Vele continues to get fed as the wide receiver 2 for Denver behind Courtland Sutton, and they get a bad Cleveland Browns pass defense this week, so another sneaky start off the waiver wires if he's available. And speaking of continuing hot streaks, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine once again finds the end zone on a near 40-yard play, putting up another almost 13 PPR fantasy points this week. It really feels like he can't keep getting away with this, but somehow he just keeps finding a way. And with Tennessee's super soft schedule for the rest of the year, NWI is the final waiver add and sneaky start at wide receiver this week if he's available on waivers.